Hi everyone, I'm Ákos Tolnai with Ability Matrix, and this is our introduction series to the startups that we work with. And I'm very happy to welcome to this interview Arvind, founder of QMocha. Arvind, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Akash, and thanks for the opportunity to share the QMocha story.
Thank you for being there. And let's just jump right into it. What is the QMocha story? What is the problem that you're trying to solve?
If you're in e-commerce, you know that Apple and GDPR have broken the e-commerce marketing model. As a result, ad costs have risen. And it's for a good reason, because you can no longer invade customer privacy when you're marketing to them. So that's the problem we solve when we do that by bringing the Instagram effect to e-commerce stores.
And what is the Instagram effect?
Well, we all know that Instagram engages users through colorful visuals, which is why e-commerce stores are getting their sales from Instagram. But yet, in their own store, they do not use colorful backdrops. They use plain white, boring backdrops. And we changed that at e-commerce scale by bringing a social media-like experience to the e-commerce store.
And can you tell me more about how you do that?
Yeah, so we have a Shopify app. That's the first platform we're supporting today. And the way it works is once you install the app, it automatically lets you import all the products. And let's say you are running a newsletter for this week. And you're telling a story, maybe it's for Pride Month, and you want to celebrate that. And you make this awesome, colorful backdrop, which you can do with QMocha. You put that in your newsletter, and we give you a special link that goes with that. Takes you literally 3 minutes or maybe a minute to set it up. So in that link, you put it in your newsletter. When users use that link, now they see that same experience, special experience that you created for them in the store. That beautiful backdrop that you picked, that's in the hero image in the newsletter, it's now in your entire store. So when they come in, they continue that enjoyable experience that you created from them. And you can do this for the newsletter, for ads, for any marketing campaign that you're running.
So if I get it right, you're kind of doing visual A/B testing on whatever digital channel the webshop is using, and then whatever people click on, meaning that visual version is working, and then you replace the whole storefront, everything, personalize that whole storefront to that visual experience, to match the experience that the user is coming from the relevant digital channel.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So A/B testing is a powerful feature in our platform. So when you use these links, you can actually see how people are engaging with visuals in your store. The same kind of dashboard that you have with Google Ads or with Facebook, now you have for your own store, inside your own store. So you can do tests, you can check different visuals. Sometimes it's always a question, right? So you're investing in a photo shoot, you're spending a lot on creating content, but you're not sure what's working. Now with the QMocha, you can actually do that. So you can run a test with a colorful backdrop, with something that is contextual, and see what is engaging your audience. And like you mentioned before, it's about personalization. So how do you personalize, right? So now we have a paradox today. How do you personalize when you can't have access to private data? Right? So we solve that problem. That's the paradox that QMocha solves. And so your visual preferences that you willingly provide as a user is all that we use. We're not using any other data. And as you express those preferences, we remember those preferences. As your journey gets more and more customized, the more time you spend in the store, you're going to see visuals that make sense for your life story.
So basically, you're not done with the A/B testing, let's say, through the email channel, but you're doing constant A/B testing on the e-commerce browsing that the user does. So if I click on, this kind of picture, then you're also using as a kind of a learning input to the algorithm and further personalizing the experience down the line.
That's correct. That's correct. So as a store continues to invest in QMocha, we're building a history for them so that they can build a relationship with their customers. So these are more advanced features in our platform. We've already done testing using Instagram. So we can look at any retailer's Instagram and we can analyze for them what is engaging their audience. So that same thing we can now run for their own stores.
Arvind, and can you tell me more about, the team, the history, the milestones that you achieved? Because I know that, every founder's history is special, and every startup is an uphill battle and a struggle. I don't want you to share every, secret, but if you could share some parts of your journey, that would be very helpful.
Yeah. So my journey started with a PhD in electrical engineering and quantum physics, in fact. Wow. I used to simulate LEDs and lasers, and used to work in the telecom industry. Eventually, I was VP of engineering of a company that made super bright LEDs for Samsung and LG. They were used in projectors and TV sets. So that's when my journey, I didn't know it at the time, but that's when my journey started, because this was about color. And it was about warm light and cool light and how it produces different emotions in people. So at that time, I was being educated about this without actually knowing I was. A few years after that, I co-founded my first startup, which was another LED bulb type company, and where it made it look like you were home when you were traveling. And that's where the idea for QMocha first came about, because I ended up being the guy running Facebook ads and running the Shopify store.
The founder doing everything, right?
Exactly, right? It's a startup, so that's what you do, right? And that's what every startup founder should do. And as we did that, we found that some backdrops would perform way better than others. And as an engineer, that made no sense, because, hey, it's the same product, right? Isn't it about the product? Right? So, but it actually is about the story. It's about how the product fits into the customer's life and their journey. And the reason that the backdrop was 3 times better than others in terms of ad click-through rate was because it was on a granite countertop, and it had a photo frame of a family in the background. And our user was actually a woman in her 50s who traveled a lot, had a second home. And so this was not just a light bulb, but was something that now belonged in her life, the way she would use it. That's why it worked, right? So that story is what has become QMocha. That's how we inspire people to find inspiration for their store's customers, so that they engage with the products. So the rest of the team, so my co-founder, Vineet, he is a PhD from MIT, and he thinks very deeply about AI and the user experience, and he's doing an amazing job with the product. And so anybody that installs our app is going to enjoy the fluidity of the onboarding and the experience that he's created. And we have a team of very smart developers, 5 developers that are working on developing the AI, the algorithms that make this possible.
Any progress to date that you are able to share with us, or milestones, achievements?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in so we've run several case studies, because we believe that the product should be designed in a real world environment, right? So everything we've done is in partnership with end users. So we've done several case studies. Today we are installed in 120 plus Shopify stores. We're increasingly seeing more and more people come back and use the product regularly. So the other thing we're very proud of is we have signed up a couple of very big partners. One of which I can tell you is Getty Images, which is the world's biggest stock photography brand. And they are also a believer in what we're doing, which is making e-commerce stores, making it easy for them to create awesome content. So you can access their entire library from within the QMocha app. We also have a partnership with the world leader in color, which we can't reveal who that is just yet. But
just make sure to follow QMocha on every social media platform.
Absolutely.
But you will be releasing this information soon, right?
Yeah, we will be, and we are working with them, because color is really important in driving human emotion, so there's a lot of science that goes into that. So what we're doing is based upon fundamental principles and the science that we believe will now be available to e-commerce stores.
Arvind, and are you looking for funding at the moment? And if yes, who should invest in you, and why should they invest in your story?
Yeah, so we believe an important opportunity. We are looking at marketing differently. And it's an opportunity. It's a near greenfield opportunity today, right? So Apple has disrupted the model. It doesn't happen often. This happens once every 20 years if one is lucky. We just happen to be there at the right time with an appropriate solution, where we thought through a choice-based architecture. So it's the ability for an investor to participate in something that could make a difference, to change marketing from what has been spying and harassing, even though we all did it, that kind of what it was. We want to move away from that to something that is more choice-based, privacy-friendly. And from a business perspective, it's a big opportunity as well for an alternative platform, the alternate way of marketing. So for angels, we have a convertible note, where they can participate at a discount. We are also working on a price round, and I'll be headed out to the West Coast so soon after this for some investor meetings, and we're optimistic that we'll find great partners.
Last but not least, do you have any advice for future startup founders? Something that maybe you learned along the journey and can help their journey?
There are a couple of things. One is maintaining focus is hard because as a startup, you have to pivot. You can't always be doing the same thing. But at the same time, if you don't focus, you will never have a great product, right? So, and these are two opposing things, and it's hard to do that. So I don't know if it is advice as much as saying there are times when you have to know that you have to pivot. There are times when you say, I need to focus so that I make an awesome product for my users. And then you believe at that point, right? So, and there's no simple answers for it. So we had pivoted once where we were initially an analytics app. Now we are much more focused on use cases in e-commerce stores. And we thought through it quite a bit before we did that. So I don't have specific advice to offer, because I also believe that for each startup, your journey is your own. You can watch trends and you can look at what other things are doing, but it's the equivalent of reading a textbook, right? So you can read all the textbooks that you want, but eventually you have to go live your life. And sometimes, the way you live your life is your own journey. So be okay with following your own path. Sometimes it may not be the advice that you're getting from the textbooks, but sometimes that's how you come up with innovation.
Thank you, Arvind, and we wish you nothing but the best and success in changing the marketing industry and, teaching the old dogs within the marketing industry some new tricks. Thanks for taking the time to do this interview, and all the best for you and the team. Thank you.
My pleasure, Akash, and thanks again for the opportunity to share our story.